Get ready for the Magic Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in. It is another edition of the Magic Valley Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down District 4 activities week in, week out in the great state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney. We are joined, as always, by Scott Burton, who reminds us all it's okay to breathe. What's going on, Scott?
Well, I think I'm staring at my light, and it just got really bright, and so I have to wear shades. Go ahead and insert the joke, future bright, got it all. So, yeah, we do have to breathe. We just finished state football, and it's time for the holidays. Let's just do something short and sweet, recap a few things, and let's get out of here and get ready to, lay on the couch for about 3 days.
Yeah, very unusual. Thanksgiving came very early this year, I feel like. And so state football runs right up into Thanksgiving week. So yes, a little shorter show than usual. I think the last time you wore your sunglasses on the podcast, Scott, was when your moniker was Mr. Misunderstood, and you were channeling your inner Eric Church.
That's right. I was headed off to an Eric Church concert. So it's been a bit, so I figured, just for a minute, just for the intro, I'll take them off because I can't really see what's in front of me.
Right.
That could be age. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's you're looking great. And especially for our listeners that are tuned in listening audio only.
Oh, gosh, that's the way to go with us. Just listen. You don't want to see this circus.
That's right. Well, of course, you can listen to this Prepcast on IdahoSports.com. Across the top of the homepage, there's a little tab that says Prepcasts. From there, there's a drop-down menu. It's got all of our Prepcasts, which you should all definitely check out. But for Magic Valley specific fans, you click on the Magic Valley Prepcast, the players right there, and it has all the episodes we've ever recorded on there. And then also you can download this podcast on Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, you name it, we've got it. And then also, of course, we give you video coverage every week as well on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel and Facebook page. We are going to play a specific video clip in today's show, so I would definitely recommend the video version, but we're both experienced, seasoned broadcasters as well, Scott, so we can give the audio play-by-play on the clip also for our listeners.
Yes, we can. Yeah, we need to do more of this. I mean, we have the capability of showing clips. And so, we talk to coaches all the time, and I guess we don't mention it enough. But if you got something to show, a great place, anything, hey, send it to us. And we'd love to get that out there.
We're always on the hunt for great stories and great content. You can send that to Brandon at IdahoSports.com because we're only two guys, right? There's inevitably going to be things that fall through the cracks statewide and in the Magic Valley. And of course, we want to shine that spotlight on as many athletes, young men and women, as we possibly can. So yeah, send them in. Brandon at IdahoSports.com. Well, I talked about we're both seasoned broadcasters. Scott, you were on the more recent calls. I did color for a championship game Thursday. You did play-by-play for 2 championship games on Saturday, none of which involved the Magic Valley. So all of the Magic Valley activities were all wrapped up by Friday evening, essentially. So by the time you went over on Saturday, all the Magic Valley teams were done and dusted. Scott, District 4 teams go 0-3, and it's easy to dwell on, oh, yeah, you didn't win the championship. But I look at it another way, and I saw this firsthand with the Camas County fans that we'll talk about here in a second. Appreciate the journey. Wow, we made it all the way to the final weekend of the season. What an accomplishment.
Yeah, you know what? And you look at these 3 games, the Camas game, the Oakley game, the Declo game, and unfortunately, it didn't work out for those 3 teams. But there was a little storyline to each one of these. And if I were one of these Magic Valley teams, it was stacked against you, I mean, let's start with Camas. They got handled 68-0 by Kendrick, who can beat probably – I think they can beat the New York Jets. I'm not sure, but Kendrick is one of those teams that is, wow. They've got a quarterback that in Ty Kep that can play at, I think, any level. I mean, they just won their 3rd consecutive 1A D2 championship, and they're going to move up a level to 1A D1, and I'm not even sure that's going to make a difference because they beat the two teams that were in the D1 championship in Butte County and Oakley. They beat them this year. So that team right there, they were poised to do very, very well. And Camas has got nothing to hang their heads about. I mean, just the buzz that generated around their town, the community, they got behind them. They knew it was a David versus Goliath matchup, and it was. That's just how good Kendrick is. But Camas, hey, good for you. It was a year of the musher.
Yeah, we monikered the year of the musher 2 years ago, Scott, and it's been it's going to turn into the decade of the mushers, maybe.
Yeah, I hope so, because I didn't realize when we said that 2 years ago how much that was going to stick, and it has. And well, when you're doing well like they are, it's going to stick. So congratulations to them.
Yeah, I got to see Mike McCann, the athletic director from Camas County, at the championship game last Thursday. Of course, he's been a guest on this Prepcast all the way back in season 1. It's always good to catch up with him. It was the final game for Rusty Kramer as Camas County head football coach after 8 seasons. I liked his style. He was in blue jeans and a t-shirt, going for ultimate comfort there in the Kibbe Dome for that championship affair. I liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked a little bit about this too, is getting up to that Kibbe Dome and calling all those games. It was so nice just to be able to see the yard markers, to have a controlled environment where papers aren't blowing off of your table and you're trying to tape everything down, including yourself. And you could actually relax and call a game. And I tell you what, the IdahoSports.com way that we do championship games, nobody beats it. I mean, we've got it all lined out. And I know it's audio, but I can't tell you how many people have reached out and just commented on all of the audio broadcasts that we did, because they were so much better than everybody else. And the way that we handled it, sideline reporters, statistician right there in front of us, the research that we did, and plus just the ability to call a good game. Just thankful that people noticed and they reached out to all of us and commented on all the games.
Yes. Great job by everybody. I was only on for one game, so I can't take too much credit, but the entire team at IdahoSports.com that was part of these championship broadcasts all did a phenomenal job. As for that Camas County game, Scott, this is a game I saw with my own eyes. I talked to Kendrick before the game, and they said their number one goal was to make Troy Smith run between the defensive ends. They said if Troy Smith gets to the outside, it's going to be a long night for us. First play from scrimmage for Camas County, Troy Smith gets to the edge, picks up about 10 yards. Kendrick said, we're done with that. And then they really did bottle him up the rest of the night. Tyson Tupper ended up being the leading rusher. He had around 95 yards. And for Camas County, I thought they played well. And again, with Kendrick, you can be a great team. And Camas County was a great team, but Kendrick is an historically great team, and they make everybody look bad. Because people asked me, oh boy, I guess Camas County really wasn't that good. No, they were. Kendrick is just that much better.
Yeah, and that's all it is. And I think anybody that has followed football, they understand that. I mean, this is a juggernaut that is unlike anything I've ever seen before. And when you got like players that we've mentioned, Ty Kep, he went 15 and 19 for over 400 yards in that game, and 4 touchdowns, while also rushing for, a pair of touchdowns as well. And, Nathan Twite, he 112 yards receiving, couple of touchdowns. Hunter Taylor, 70 yards in a score, but returned a punt for 67 yards in a score. Sawyer Hewitt, 71 yards in a score, 5 passes and a touchdown. I mean, they've got weapons across the board, and so when you play a team like Kendrick, it's not like you're focusing in on one guy. You're focusing in on multiple guys, and they are all really, really, really good.
Yes, and this was a big senior class for Camas County. They do return 2 of 3 starters on both the offensive and defensive lines, and that's as good a foundation as any to get it started for next year. But I say let's do it in hoops too, right? Camas County and Kendrick are both going to have really good basketball teams, and the Mushers have played in the state championship game pretty recently in basketball. So I say let's get that rematch on the hardwood.
Oh, absolutely. And it's going to be the same dudes, obviously.
Right.
So they've created themselves a nice little rivalry, if you will, just because of their prowess in each of their sports and the 1A D2 ranks. But yeah, why not?
Definitely. All right. So that was Thursday night in Moscow. Friday night, doubleheader inside Holt Arena. The first game up was the 1A D1 championship, Oakley against Butte County. And Oakley was trying to accomplish something that, frankly, just doesn't happen often, and that is 4 consecutive state championships. It's really hard to pull off, as we saw. Oakley gave it their best shot, but they ultimately fall 58-44. Kyler Robinson, Oakley's quarterback, wasn't at 100%, and yet he still threw for 5 touchdowns and 300 some yards. They just had a couple of costly turnovers, I think, and really couldn't stop that Butte County offense.
Yeah, you just can't make mistakes against a team like Butte County. I mean, this is a team that once Dylan Waymeyer went down, this team was kind of on a mission. And you talk about motivation. You talk about, and I said this right at the beginning, all 3 of these games had something stacked against these Magic Valley teams. Oakley was running into an emotional buzzsaw in Butte County with all of the attention that Dylan Waymeyer has been getting, his recovery. My goodness, you play with that kind of emotion in your back pocket, you're going to be in trouble. And Oakley knew it, and they put up a great fight, and nothing to be ashamed of for Oakley. They had an incredible season, but it was Butte County.
Yeah, and of course, Dylan Waymeyer, we have a great article about his recovery and what happened when he medically collapsed on the sideline at a game earlier this year. You can go check it out on the homepage at IdahoSports.com. Really good piece of writing there from Jason Chatra. And it was up in the air. Was Dylan Waymeyer going to be able to come to the game in person? Was he going to have to tune in like so many others on IdahoSports.com? Well, he was able to make it. He was in a wheelchair on the sideline for the entire contest. Scott, Paul Kingsbury, our sideline reporter, did an interview with Dylan, and I think one of his parents, which no other broadcast had, obviously. And then when it was time for Butte County to receive their trophy, pretty cool moment. Dylan Waymeyer, we all thought, okay, he's going to roll out the wheelchair out to the field to accept the trophy with his teammates. He got up and walked out there and joined his teammates, and that was not a dry eye in the house when that happened.
Oh no, and there's a good clip that we've got on our social medias with that as well. I mean, we were right there for that whole thing, and boy, it's just emotional, and of course we've been following this right from the start since it happened, pushing the GoFundMe page and telling his story, and then just to see that culminate in a championship for Butte County, man, it was pretty emotional.
Yep. And so for Oakley, a great season. I mean, 2 losses all year to the 1A D2 champions from Kendrick and here in the 1A D1 championship game. And so really no shame there outside of that, Scott. And so it's been a great run for Oakley, and I want to kind of properly recognize what Oakley's been able to accomplish over the past 3 years. We actually got an email from some former players from Oakley that said they'd love to come on and talk about, what makes this program so great. So we're kind of working on that behind the scenes, Scott, but that'll be a fun episode. Hopefully we can put together. So, let's move to the 2A championship. Was right after that. The scoreboard operator at Holt Arena didn't have to change anything. It was still Hornets versus Pirates. Instead of Oakley and Butte County, though, it was Declo and Westside. And we talked about coming in, Declo did beat Westside in Dayton in the regular season, 27-26, in that crazy game where Westside got an inadvertent 5th down to try and score. And we both kind of talked about, Westside's going to be motivated and to put that loss behind them, and they certainly did, winning 41-13 over Declo in the championship.
Yeah, and again, there's motivation. You have these Magic Valley teams going into these games against these teams that have that little thing in their pocket for motivation. We just got done talking about Butte County's motivation with Dylan Waymeyer. Now it's going to be Westside because they dropped one on their home field in a place that they never lose to Declo. And don't think that didn't motivate them, because it most certainly did. And the 5th down thing, yeah, of course, we covered that, showed it. But certainly Westside had some motivation. And plus, that's a really good team because, I mean, that's their 4th title in 5 years. And this is a very battle-tested, experienced program that knows how to win those big games. And, and they had Declo committing 5 turnovers. And if you're Declo, you can't afford to do that. But Westside had something to say about, hey, we're still the best 2A team in the state over the past 5 years. And they showed us why.
Yep. So congratulations to Westside. 4 titles in 5 years, like you said, is pretty remarkable stuff. Declo did score on a 24-yard touchdown pass from Will Gerard to Gavin Rasmussen, and then a 2-yard touchdown run by Gerard as well. And Declo goes 11-1. Their only loss came at the very end. And so what an incredible year it was for Coach Josh Stewart and the Hornets also.
Absolutely. And that's the other part too, is you're an undefeated team coming in with that target on your back against a team that you beat by 1 point. I mean, it was all just lined up there. And but hey, again, nothing for Declo to hang their hat about either, because they were really, really good this year.
Yep, for sure. All right, Scott, that puts a wrap on football season, and girls basketball has already gotten off and running. We have girls basketball previews for every conference in the state of Idaho, Scott, right smack dab on the homepage at IdahoSports.com. Just kind of quickly, your preseason favorites in every league, if you will. Great Basin Conference, Twin Falls in the 3A. SCIC Kimberly was picked as the preseason favorite there. 2A Canyon Conference, only 2 schools. Declo kind of picked as the favorite in there. 1A D1, that big, huge, gigantic Snake River Conference. A lot of teams singled out Murtaugh, but Oakley actually got the preseason nod. And then at the 1A D2 level, Scott, the Sawtooth Conference, Dietrich, the preseason favorite there. Now, those were just the teams that were picked to win. There's going to be a lot of other good teams emerging, like Jerome and Minico, and Wendell, I think, is going to be pretty good this year. At the 1A level, you're looking at Cary's always tough. Raft River is the defending state champions. Richfield's going to be good. And then there's Gooding, a team that didn't lose any seniors from a year ago, Scott. And so with all that experience coming back, a lot of people think Gooding is ready to take that next step. And they took a big step forward in a recent non-conference victory over Weiser. Yeah,
I mean, these are the games here that Gooding played that really can jumpstart you in the right direction, because, I mean, this was a Weiser team that isn't too bad, and they had Weiser had a 9-point lead on Gooding in the 4th quarter. And the gals from Gooding didn't quit. They just kept battling, chipping away. And they got themselves to a point in the final seconds to where if they could just get a couple things to go their way, they were going to have a shot. And I'll be danged if they didn't do it. And they pulled off the win in kind of shocking, amazing, fashion. And it's such a huge win for that Gooding program.
Yeah, Scott. So we've got the clip of this exciting finish here between Weiser and Gooding. We're going to pick it up where it is 47-46. Weiser is leading by a point. Now, on the previous possession, Gooding was down by 3. Dominique Celaya hits a jumper in the lane to bring the Senators to within 1, and then they've got to amplify the defense here, Scott. So this is where we pick it up.
Well, yeah, and just before you get to that, after that shot, there's a couple of things here, and we wondered if these new rules would come into effect, right? And if you're not familiar with the new rules in basketball, there's a shot clock that varsity teams can elect to play with. Most everybody is, because that's what's going to happen at state. And then the 5 fouls per quarter, and every team foul, there's no more 1-and-1 ever. So it's like, start of the game, as soon as you hit that 5th foul in that first quarter, you're shooting 2. Start of the second quarter, all fouls go to 0. And when you hit 5, it's 2 shots. So anyway, that played a little role down the stretch here on how Gooding won. And we were wondering if this would ever make an appearance, and it did. So right after Dominique hit the shot, they had to foul to stop the clock. Well, in the quarter, that was only their 4th foul. So that gave Weiser the ball out of bounds underneath their own basket, and prior to that, Gooding plays a lot of zone defense. And so they're down by 9 in that fourth quarter, right? Well, having the shot clock allowed Gooding to stay in that zone, and knowing that they were going to have to take a shot, Weiser was, and that changed the way that they did it, because last year they would have had to jump into man-to-man, start committing fouls. So we did see these new rules in this particular game start to rear its head. So as we pick up the clip, Dominique just hit the shot in the lane. It's a 1-point game with just a few seconds left on the clock, and they fouled Weiser, and they need the ball back now, and they need to score now because they're down by 1.
Yep, and there's like less than 15 seconds to go. So here we go. Scott, take us through the play.
So after the inbounds, Fallon McMillan steals the basketball, takes a couple of dribbles, and then up to Izzy Stockham, and she makes that sweet bounce pass right there to Audrey Skolder, who laid it in with less than 10 seconds to go. And then on the inbounds, they steal it, game over. And just like that, Gooding steals one away out of the jaws of defeat against Weiser, a team that had them beat in that fourth quarter, but Gooding didn't quit, and you just saw the end of it.
I mean, it all happened so fast, Scott, that they never even updated the scoreboard. It still said 40. It still said 47-46 when the clip expired. It all happened that quickly. So yes, Fallon Millican gets the steal. She passes ahead to Izzy Stockham. She makes the extra pass, Scott, because a lot of times she's right there on that block. It's tempting to just go up for the shot, but she recognizes there's a defender right there. Let me give the extra bounce pass to the opposite block. That's where Audrey Schilder lays it in. And then to get the second steal to cement it, I mean, what a crazy finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a wild, wild thing. And another thing that needs to be mentioned for this Gooding team in that particular game is, they're not very deep. Gooding is varsity-wise. So they brought up some JV and C team players to play a couple of quarters. They sacrificed, their JV and C team quarters a little bit just to save a couple so they could give those varsity players a rest. And it certainly helped down the stretch. I mean, those young kids got in, even scored a couple of buckets, but more importantly, gave rest to those varsity players so they had something in the tank towards the end.
Yeah, this was a huge win for Gooding. Weiser is a team that has been in the mix at state the past couple of seasons. They are coached by Lorraine Harrison. She is the wife of Tom Harrison, the legendary football coach at Weiser High School. You think they ever swap ideas on how to motivate people?
Right.
So they follow that up with a setback against a very good Valley team that I'm sure we will talk about at some point this year. They've got a dynamo guard named Lexi Hudig, who's really fun to watch. But they are 2-1 on the season. They're going to return to action, Scott, next Tuesday, and it's really going to be the first test. It's the first conference game. They're on the road at Buell. Buell is a team that's trying to build a varsity program. They've got a great coach in Jessica Montgomery, who ironically had a great career at Filer, a district rival in high school. But that'll be kind of the next big test, is the conference opener against Buell next Tuesday, the 28th.
Yeah, no question about it. And, in this particular conference is, with Kimberly in there, it's going to be a really tough one. Buell on the rise. Man, you throw all of these teams into this conference with Sun Valley and Bliss and Wendell and blah, blah, blah. This is going to be a really, on their schedule anyway.
Wendell's
looking ahead of their schedule. But
right.
The thing is, with this Gooding team, with Buell on the rise and with Kimberly in this as well, this is going to be a really tough conference. And we talked about how they're going to have to battle, Valley, or they battled Valley and just kind of got exposed a little bit, but they were still able to get a couple of big wins that tells them something, that they can compete, and I think for a lot of these teams, you've got to show yourself that you know how to win. And that game against Weiser was really big for those girls from Gooding.
Yeah, it's the kind of a win that can really give you some momentum and a belief that, hey, we can do this, because, it's been a couple of years since Gooding was a factor in girls basketball. So we'll be keeping an eye on the Senators and, of course, all of our great Magic Valley teams as we go throughout the regular season, Scott. But we are off and running in winter sports. No break whatsoever. We're going to take a break for the rest of the week and enjoy Thanksgiving. Yeah. And then it's right back to it next week, right?
Absolutely. As soon as we leave here, I'm off to the gym. We've got a game tonight. So we've got the Twin Falls Bruins, Lady Bruins coming to town. And so I got to go handle that thing. And hopefully we have a really good game tonight to send us right into break.
What kind of athletic director are you, scheduling the marquee matchup, the two teams that finished 1-2 in our preseason coaches poll before a holiday when maybe a lot of people have already left town, Scott?
Well, we're going to find out, are they committed to basketball or are they committed to turkey? I mean, really, it's an easy decision. For me, you get one more game, send you off the right direction. Plus, on top of that, you get to stay out late tonight, so you can celebrate if you are the winner tonight. It's great little send-off into the break.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just giving you a hard time, of course.
Don't make me come over there.
Yeah, for sure. There's no school going on up here in North Idaho this week, so there's not
the
much.
Whole week? The whole week you're off?
Gee, whole week. Which? Yep.
So we go Monday, Tuesday, we get tomorrow off. So we had school all day. And so, we're not North Idaho, whatever.
And the battle lines have been drawn. We will Scott, enjoy your Thanksgiving. What kind of plans you got for Turkey Day?
Oh, just to eat myself silly, take about 6 naps a day, and watch some football, and then probably go back to work. I've got a couple of presentations I've got to give as soon as I return, and so it's going to be a relaxing working weekend, and it's going to be fun. What about you?
Yeah, so we're hitting the road, traveling to Missoula tomorrow. So that's why we're recording all the Prepcast so early in the week, because we're traveling. And I think we did a show last year. I was at my parents' house. It was either for Thanksgiving or Christmas. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, you're right. We did. You were locked away in some spare room. And I don't know if you had like little, Mario or Pac-Man on the wall. I don't know what you had going on, but it was childhood room. I don't know, but it was fun.
That was a good time, but I definitely like the home environment when I'm recording the show. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there watching and or listening. If you're traveling, travel safely. We want to see you all back here again next week for another edition of the Magic Valley Prepcast.
And for those that were looking for Scott's thoughts, we're tabling those this week. We'll come back next week with the grass is greener that you gave me last week. So just so they know.
Yes. With the short week, with the holiday and these other presentations you've got coming up, Scott, we can set aside Scott's thoughts for a week. So Yep. All right. Well, thanks for tuning into the Magic Valley Prepcast, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you back here in December for another edition of the Magic Valley Prepcast. For Scott Burton, I'm Brandon Baney. We'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.